So in this video, Rob criticizes the coaches who keep their star players in college women's basketball in the fourth quarter in blowouts. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our channel. I'm Mark.
And I'm Rob.
So hey, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do so with the notification bell when you do, so you get notified of our next video. And join us for Caitlin Clark's Crossover. It's every Monday and Thursday during our live show from 6 to 7 Eastern and 5:30 to 6:30 Eastern, except for major holidays. It's like a sports reporters forum. We talk about Caitlin Clark in a debate type format. And it's all the kind of good stuff that's in the news with women's basketball and sports. So Rob, I know what you said before to me. When we were talking about this, you said, "What are these coaches thinking?" So tell us about your thoughts about what we talked about in the preview.
Yeah, Mark, you're up by 40 points, 30 points, whatever, the fourth quarter. Why are you putting your stars back in? That really doesn't make any sense. They're going to get injured. And what are you trying to prove? That's my one question I think I told you is, what are you trying to prove? What is your point of leaving these players, your key players in? That's what I mean. If I was a reporter, no one has asked them in the interview after the game, like, so why did you keep Juju Watkins in there for the fourth quarter when you're up by 40? Why did you insert Paige Beckers when you're up by 30 points? I've not heard that question yet from the reporters.
Rob, it's just it's wrong on so many different levels. First of all, aren't you trying to develop your younger players or anyone who's not a starter?
Right? Yes.
Really? Aren't you trying to do that throughout the year? And Lindsay Gottlieb has been the worst defender at all with Juju Watkins. She's been in several times in the fourth quarter in 40-point blowouts, Rob, because she's going after a scoring record of Caitlin Clark to try to prove she's better than Caitlin Clark, or just to try to make her a hero. I have no idea what she's trying to do, Rob.
Yeah, I don't know their agenda. If that's the agenda, that's wrong. It's not. If you're doing that for an agenda instead of, like you said, developing your players, and you want to have this person, they're pulling that Angel Reese, with the rebounding record, same type of deal.
Right. Well, she just did it in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Juju Watkins twisted her ankle. It wasn't a bad injury, but it was bad enough. And then she stayed in, hit a three, eventually went out, and then went back in the fourth quarter in a game that they weren't going to lose. That's insane, Rob. When you're in the middle of an NCAA tournament, you got to play in 2 days.
Yeah, I really don't get it. I don't get what these coaches, and she's not the only one. She's not the only one who does that.
No, Coach Ivy of Notre Dame in that game, Olivia Miles twisted her ankle in the beginning of the fourth quarter. When the quarter started, I think they were up by 34. They're not going to lose that game. Okay.
No.
So Hannah Hidalgo's on the bench. Olivia Miles twists her ankle. So she takes her out, doesn't play her for the rest of the game, but sticks in Hannah Hidalgo, who's their best player, until 4 minutes and 55 seconds left when they were up by 50. They were never losing that game, Rob. Why is she in there?
You're right. I don't get it. they're not, especially in women's basketball, they're not going to come back from a 30-point deficit.
It's more than that.
Yeah, even a 20, Mark. Even a 20. 20 is kind of shaky. You maybe keep your starters in fourth quarter, maybe like the first 3 or 4 minutes to see how it is. But then after that, the game is essentially over.
Right. Rob, this isn't soccer where you can't put the person back in. So if some miracle starts happening, they score 20 straight points, you just stick your star player back in. But the chances of that are so slim, it doesn't even matter whether the chances are slim or not. You still have that option. So why are they in there? It just drives me crazy when I see that, knowing they could twist an ankle easily or worse, like an ACL.
And for me, also as a sportsman type thing, I would, I've had teams, they'll keep their starters in and try to run up the score. And I'm like, after the game, I kind of shook hands with the coach. And I would ask him, so what's your point of keeping your starters in like that? You're trying to rub it in our face? So what are you trying to do? It's being a poor sport. I would tell him, I'd be straight with him. I tell him, you're being a poor sport. That's poor sportsmanship as far as being able to score. When you're way better, you're better than the other team.
Were your starters in or your starters out at that point?
Oh, no, mine were out.
Yours were out. Okay. Rob, I was listening to Stan Van Gundy, and they were debating whether to take the star players out in a game. And he said, sometimes the coach would say, well, you take your starters out. And he said, well, you didn't take your starters out. So you call off your dogs and I'll call out mine. But in Rob, you just said in your case, you took your starters out. So this guy has no excuse not to take his starters out.
Right. Well, I remember Sides. I remember Sides got in trouble with that with the Storm. I mean, the Storm coach kind of confronted her with that.
Oh, that wasn't bad though, right? That wasn't that much of a blow, and she did take him out eventually.
Yeah, she did take him out. I don't know why the Storm coach was kind of yelling at her.
It wasn't so bad, but
and then the other player got involved. I'm like,
why risk an injury? Get that player out of there. How do you develop the players if you don't put them in? I just don't understand.
Yeah,
it's great. I can understand, Rob, a star player playing a decent number of minutes up through the end of the third quarter. People pay to see them play. They're trying to get better, whatever. They're keeping their stats up, whatever. The end of the third, but the beginning of the fourth quarter in these women's games, I've seen it too many times this year. It drives me crazy in blowouts. There's 10 minutes left in the game. They can't catch up 30, 40-point games.
It's not. No, they're not going to do
50-point games, Rob. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know what their agenda is. That's like I said. If I was a reporter, that's what I would be asking them. Like, so what is your point of leaving your starters in? With the risk of them being hurt, I want to see what the coach's reaction or what kind of BS they're going to say, or even like putting a starter. Well, I'll leave my starter in there with the other players so they get to know how to run with the starter. No.
They can do that in practice, Rob.
Look, yeah, exactly.
I agree with you. I don't know why the reporters aren't asking this question more often. They should be asking it every time they do this. Every time they should be doing this, whether a local reporter or not. They should be asking this. Why is the star player in the fourth quarter when they're up by 40 points? Aren't you afraid they might get injured in an unnecessary situation?
Exactly.
Perfectly good question.
Yeah.
In fact, it should be asked every time. I'm not an athletic director or a president of a university, but if I was an athletic director and my head coach did that in basketball, the next day they would be in my office and saying, what are you doing? Why are you risking the star players getting injured? If you want to keep coaching here, stop doing that. That's me. That's what I would do if I was the athletic director.
I agree with you. If I was an athletic director, I would call the coach and say, why is our star player in there? Or why do you have your starters in there? Are you trying to ruin the image as us being bullies by blowing them out? Also, you have your starters, someone's going to get hurt. What sense does that make of you keeping them in there?
Yeah, the athletic director has control over the coaches, has authority over the coaches. And if I was the president of the university, I'd go to the athletic director and say, go talk to that coach. What are my star players doing in the fourth quarter for? Seriously.
No, it is. And you know what? And you say that, Mark, because especially now, you don't realize you know how much money these universities get now when they're in the playoffs for the NCAA?
Right. That's why I'm saying the president has a responsibility to say something to the athletic director, has a responsibility to say something to the coach.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously they're not doing that at USC because Lindsay Gotti does it all the time. Yes, and why? Why? Because she wants to go after a record and you want her to get a record because that makes you look better as a coach because your star player got the record. I have no idea. Yeah. All I know is it's stupid. That's all I know.
Yeah, you win the game. What do I care about some stupid record?
I have no idea whether this had anything to do with Juju Watkins getting injured the other day. All I know is her ankle was sore 2 days before. She goes back in and probably strained it even more when she went back in. And then she plays 2 days later, and she's coming down to court, and her right knee goes out. Now, I don't know if she put too much pressure on her right leg because her left ankle was sore. I don't know if that's why it happened, but it's not impossible that had an influence on what happened. And that's because she played her with a sore ankle.
Why? I mean, and the point of that, Mark, is why are you playing that long with a sore ankle? You're already up by a certain amount of points. You play and then you're done. You're done. I want to rest. I need to rest you for the next game that's coming up, which is more important.
Rob, and they were playing 2 days later. It wasn't like they were playing 5 days later. They were playing 2 days later. Ankle needs look at what Duke did, Rob. Cooper Flagg hurt his ankle in the tournament, and it was a Friday. It was a first round. And they knew they were going to get a good seed anyways. Yes, and they wanted to win the tournament. But they didn't play him Saturday and Sunday. He completely rested. He didn't play again until a week later. That makes perfectly good sense to me.
And what was the margin of victory by Duke? 30 points.
By enough, right?
Yeah, by enough.
And I don't see him in late in the fourth quarter when they have blowouts, Rob. I don't see him in at all. He's the star player. He may be the best male college player in the country. He might get some Player of the Year awards. So guess what? You don't play him in the fourth quarter when there's a blowout, and they don't. I've seen Duke. I've seen several Duke games. I haven't seen him in there late in the fourth quarter once when a blowout, Rob.
Right. So coaches, stop it.
So is this a women's thing, or is this? I don't know. I didn't watch a lot of men's basketball this year, but I watched Duke. Never happened once.
Yeah.
Late in the fourth quarter or anything like that. So, and for good reason. Why do you want your star player getting injured in a game in a time when it doesn't matter?
Right.
So hopefully, Rob, people will learn their lesson and not continue to do this next year, because we saw too much of it this year. And I don't know if this has been going on very long at all, because I didn't watch a lot of women's basketball. I've been watching Caitlin Clark for 4 years, but I didn't watch a lot of the other teams. So we'll see what happens next year. But hopefully people stop doing this. It's not fair to the star player. What if they get injured? They're not going to be happy if they get injured. Because, Rob, if a coach tells you to go in, you kind of go in, right? You don't say, I don't want to play.
Yeah, you're going to want to go in.
You kind of feel obligated to go in when your coach tells you to go in.
Right. Okay.
Anyways. All right. Let us know what you think down below. If you like this video, hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do so. Hit the notification bell when you do, so you get notified of our next video. And join us for our live show, which is now headed off by Caitlin Clark Crossover, which is Monday and Thursday, 6 to 7 and 5:30 to 6:30, respectively, Eastern time, except for major holidays. And you can share this video with your family, friends, and acquaintances. And if you want, you can donate to the channel with super chats, super thanks down below, and a link to PayPal. And we'll see you in the next video.
Peace out.